he does and maybe our other reps. Go ahead.
Thanks, Marion.
We haven't unveiled it yet, you know.
Israel, Good day, everyone. My name is Otis Jasper. My ancestral name is Kwakwa, which comes from my grandmother's family in the Statlium territory. My grandparents and my family from Swali is the Kelly family. And I also come from the Douglas family in Chiam. I'd just like to start by raising my hands up to the class group, and I know the Fraser Basin Council has also been involved with this project, and you know, we very much at Swali appreciate the efforts and the hard work and dedication that so many people have to trying to protect this beautiful place of Cultus Lake as it's known today. As I was preparing for today and thinking about what today meant, a quote stuck out in my head, and it was, the longer you look back, the further you fall behind. And for me, this has meant many different things, and it still means many different things to me. You know, I think of this place where Swali has an old ancient village site that we lived year-round for a few hundred years at a time, and moved to other places and then came back. And in part that was to prevent disease and to give the land an opportunity to rehabilitate itself. Not that we went far, but it was an area that had high ground and could avoid floods, and it was a place for protection. Had access to this valley, the Chilliwack Valley, and towards the Sumas Lake. And I think about that history, and it's pretty easy to understand why my ancestors, the Swali ancestors, lived where they did. You had the river, the Chilliwack River, you had the lake, and years ago there was all species of salmon spawned in this lake. And so it was a very...
Oh, wow. Oh, he's got it there.
Helping the Sockeye. But it's always been a very important place, and this lake in this area has always been very dear and important. It was a very special place, and very gifted place. A place where, you know, as some of my elders have explained, a place of great power, a place that wasn't to be treated lightly, and that needed a lot of respect because it was such a powerful place, and that in their words, it was for the children and for young people and people who weren't supposed to be here. It was a bad place. It was what would be known as a place that you'd stay away from the hot oven. That kind of terminology was used to describe this place as a place that, you know, you didn't go there unless you had permission or unless you had supervision. And so that's how this place has been described to myself. And you know, if we're looking at today, and today's a special day. Today's a great day. It's the 80th anniversary of the Cultus Lake, and in 1932, I believe, is when this the Park Act was enabled. And I don't want to take away from this day. I want to contribute to this day. At the same time, I do represent my community of Swali, and I do feel I have an obligation to share with everyone a bit of where we're coming from in a day like today. You know, as we're trying to build relationships and gather strength with the Parks Board and the citizens of Cultus Lake, and working with the city of Chilliwack, it's very important that we have good communication, and we have a foundation to work with that is solid. And so, in that way, we have to have everything on the table. And I've shared over the last year or so, in many different circles, this piece of history that is very important, I think, as we move forward. In 1927, there was a special meeting between the Senate and House of Commons. And the result of that meeting was Section 141 of the Indian Act, which included that First Nations were not allowed to access legal services. We're not allowed to fundraise for legal services. And of course, at that time we weren't allowed off our reserves to be in the economy, to be working. So unless we gave up unless we became Canadian citizens and left our Stalo, our Indigenous heritage, and officially became a part of Canada, but we had to leave behind our ways. So it was in 1932 that the Park Act came to be. And of course, between 1927 and 1951, we were unable to have any sort of legal recourse or any way of really participating in decisions that were being made, and decisions that, you know, have great impact to us. Right? And I'm not. This is not, to me, a dark cloud on today. When I think of the quote, "The longer we look back, the further we fall behind." Well, I think it's not about forgetting the past and moving forward as much as it is the time that we spent. That time is the length of time that we haven't looked back. Right, so it's taken us this long to look back, I believe. And I think we're at a place now with the Parks Board in the city and other powers that be, the working group of class, to when we look back and we share that history so that it's on the table and building our foundation forward. So for me, the opportunity to share a bit of that history today, on this day, I think is contributing to us moving forward, because the 80th anniversary, I think, is just, you know, the years to come are going to be stronger as we work together, whether it's political leadership, the citizens, you know, our children that share the school together. You know, I think we're at a very good place, and the more we can share our history and our lives here together, the better our future will be here at this very special place. You know, and I think an indicator of that and that strength is the work that class does, and the survival of the Sockeye here, and hopefully more of those species come back and spawn here. And I think together we'll find that way. And again, I appreciate for the invitation and to speak, and I look forward again to our walk together. Lahai.
In honor, Mark, I would like to give you the blanket.
Oh.
Please come forward as a class member and as the enabler that lugged the fish. Mark and Mark.
Oh, sorry.
Both Marks. Both Marks.
So Mark.
This is good. Mark's a good one. And what comes to my mind when I hear this is that I hear something about the return, because salmon return, and it's a symbol of our return here, standing here together, because each of us are in huge networks to return to taking care of all those things that take care of us. So,
Woohoo!
what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this blanket to Mark Johnson, because I know Mark Stroll will speak, and then he'll get his blanket after he speaks.
Mike will come handy today.
Yeah.
This is for Otis, because inside is something very, very domestic for the household, and there's something in here for his son.
Thank you.
Thank you.